I wanted to take just a brief moment and talk a little bit about the Resource Center from the perspective of the work that you do as affiliates. Prior to coming to MHA, Haney's, I was at our affiliate in Rockland County, and I did a variety of different work, some of that in care management, some of that in prose, and some of that working with our the Access VR and working with some high school students and some special programming. And one of the things that I wanted to point out is that, never thought about Mahaney's, never thought necessarily about the school mental health resource and training center, because thought, well, we're not a school. So what does Mahaney's have to offer? And what I want to share with you today are some resources specifically oriented towards family and communities that can be helpful not only for the populations and the individuals that you work with, but also even for your own staff and sort of their own awareness and training. Before I get into that, and I'm just going to share some spots on our website that really are that functions as our resource center. I have to thank the Resource Center team, especially Susan, Stephanie, Thadaha, and Jen, who are the backbone of making all of this happen, from presentations and trainings to webinars to resources, and then also our IT and production team, which sort of takes the ideas and thoughts that we have and sort of makes them into reality. And before I move my screen, I'm going to pop a couple of documents into the chat. Just give me 1 second from my computer, and they're right here, which I've learned to make it. Can I do 2 at a time? Maybe. Oh, yes, I can. Great. Okay. So I'm popping in 2 things into the chat, 2 PDFs that I'll review later. They're conversation starters, but I wanted you to be able to have direct access to those as we talk about resources. So let me get my Zoom. Sorry, I clicked. There it is. Sorry. This is not a Zoom friendly day. There we are. You're going to go over here, and then I'm going to share my screen. See if this works. Yay, it did work. Am I I didn't have to click share. Am I sharing the website? Yes, I did it. Didn't mess it up. Okay, perfect. So what I'd like to start with is on our website, which has so many different resources aimed towards school communities around implementation of mental health instruction and curriculum, lesson plans, climate and culture. I encourage you to explore those resources. They aren't necessarily limited just to school. When we talk about climate and culture, we have lots of information about bullying prevention, suicide prevention, and also a special report that was just done in partnership with Otsuka Pharmaceuticals about implementing wellness spaces in schools. And that is under climate and culture. I encourage you to read that. In terms of any of you that are doing work with schools or around school communities, being able to even share that information with them. What I want to shift to is our family and community section of our website. And we know, as Michelle talked about so importantly, is that the people that surround our students, our young ones in our communities, in our organizations, the people that surround them are very influential in how they thrive and how they sort of succeed and how they sort of manage the challenges that come to them. And so I wanted to share with you our webinar and presentation information. And this is really the backbone of our family engagement. And this is our family education webinar series, which is in partnership with some funding from the Mother Cabrini Health Foundation. And every month we provide a webinar about an hour long, initially geared towards supporting mental health of of children and youth in a home context, right? So outside of the classroom. And so last night we had an importance of sleep and talking about how sleep can impact behaviors and mental health and sort of mood and concentration. And in that is, we bring in content and field experts that can talk about this from a perspective that is both relatable but also informative. And in those webinars, we share resources that give you huge amounts of connections to other articles, other links, other activities. really giving people a toolbox around different topics. We have recorded sessions that are available as well. And these can be very helpful in sort of either sort of what I like to say, pinging sort of our thoughts, ideas around sort of maybe how we might want to sort of get more resources and information around certain items. So, for example, if I look at the list, which I'm going to pull it down here. Oops, it wants me to sign in for some reason. Okay, so there you can, once you sign in, a free account asks you for information just about your role, and anybody can sign up for this, and this can be for clients, this can be for staff, this can be for community partners. Co-occurring disorders, coping with holiday stress, disordered eating, understanding the impact of social, emotional, mental, and sexual health. The list sort of goes on, and these are all sort of archived on the website that you can go back at any time and be able to access them, get access to the resources. And what is really helpful here in the Family Education webinar series is that it can be a tool for you to use either with your staff or with your clients and populations that you serve to help empower them to sort of support the children in their lives in a home setting. The other part of this that I want to share that is important is this supporting mental health at home, and it could also be better understood as supporting mental health outside of schools, also inside of schools. We have these resources that talk about sort of 6 habits about mental health, and we have cards that we can send you, and I'll talk about contacts in a minute. Kind of very brief information about how we can sort of share with families and adults this actual card right here, which is, if you're looking at me on the screen, this little card, and it's 2-sided, and we can send those to you, and you can kind of have them in your office and hand them out. And it really is just a nice way also to promote these materials and sort of begin a conversation around mental health and wellness with a young person or their parents. Now, we also understand that kind of, we talk here, we go down, we talk about talking to youth about mental health, social media and suicide, negativity bias. Now, back to school resources there's a lot of information there. Obviously, we're not back to school at this exact moment, but those resources are there. I do want to share with you, as I was in the chat, the conversation starters. And the conversation starters, if I share my screen, is it now the conversation starter screen? Yes, good. I'm going to share them both in English and Spanish. What I shared in the chat was this document that we created that really gives almost a script for people to sort of talk to students or talk to a young person about, you know, how they're feeling, how they're experiencing things, either whether it's exploratory questions or observational questions, and how to normalize conversations. And so this is something that you can print out, that you can share via email, that you can include in any newsletters or any other publications that you have. And we really want this to become sort of a document that you can use and sort of to help sort of adults feel more confident in their ability to connect with youth in a way around mental health or behavioral challenges that they have. So again, we have that in the chat in English and in Spanish for you. And the final thing I want to share is under our events. Just moving a little slower than I want it to. Every month, on the 3rd Thursday of the month at 3:30, we offer our office hours. While initially it's open to, we say, educators and administrators, I also encourage you to have any staff folks that are working with youth, either in schools, come hop on for it's a 45-minute open session where we will answer any questions, provide resources, point people in the direction. Also, it's our opportunity to engage with school communities as we work to promote that sort of a systems of care approach in schools that I think is really important, and obviously a backbone of a lot of the work that we that you as our affiliates do. So those are sort of the key points that I wanted to share with you, and in sort of exploring around what we offer. It's not just to schools, but offering to you as affiliates and community organizations that are working with young folks that are working in and around schools. And so I'm going to stop there. Of course, Our contact, which is not as snazzy as what Michelle shared, is this form. You can fill this out. You can email us at schools@mhanys.org. You can visit our website, mentalhealthednys.org. And one of our fabulous team members will be able to respond to any questions or needs that you have and sort of connect you in a way. And so I really see this as an opportunity for partnership as you continue to do the great work with young folks in your communities. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to pull this back to where I am. And if anybody had any questions, happy to answer them.